Prima facie, it looks like Air India tried to brush the matter under the carpet. India is taking note, and the Civil Aviation Ministry has also now stepped in. We are given to understand that the ministry has ordered Air India to start an internal probe and submit its report, going on to assure that the ministry will ensure speedy justice in this particular case. Ridhima has more details.
You rightly pointed out, this is what sources are now telling Network 18, that the Ministry of Civil Aviation has also now started, has ordered Air India to start an internal probe and then, of course, submit their report. The ministry is also going on to say that they will ensure speedy justice to the victim. If these allegations are found to be true, then the strictest action will be taken as well. The ministry at this point, of course, is waiting for that final report to be submitted from Air India. We're also now understanding that the ministry expects Air India to take the strictest actions against the crew members, and this is something that me and you were discussing a short while ago as well, because Poonam, if you go back to the complaint once again, which we've accessed here, look at what the complainant says happened even on arrival. Now, she's gone on to detail the ordeal, saying that it was not just the ordeal that happened when the flight was airborne. Even on landing, she was promised a wheelchair. She was promised that, all the protocols will be done swiftly so that at least there the trauma can be contained, but none of that happened on ground. She was also promised a full refund, even though that cannot be seen as a apology or a token of compensation, but even that refund has only been done partially. So on all levels, the complainant says that have been completely let down by the airline and the crew.
Absolutely, and multiple lapses have come to the fore. So far, we've not heard any comment from Air India about any action against any of the staff members on board that particular flight, because that will be interesting to see, and that really is the other issue at hand, Ridhima, isn't it? Because yes, we need action and the arrest of this particular man, this pervert that was on board the Air India flight, but also what about the staff? Many would say they too were complicit, because when it happened, they did the bare minimum. Even afterwards, there was very little that was done to help the victim.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why we've been saying the first biggest tragedy of this entire story is the lapse by the airline and the crew members. As we've been saying, at the cost of sounding repetitive, we're talking about an elderly woman in her 70s. This was a business class that we're talking about. You have a man who walks up to her after the lights have been dimmed, after the meal has been served. He flashes himself, exposes his private parts, and then has the audacity to urinate on this woman. Understandably, she's shaken up, she's traumatized. When she raises an alarm, the crew says, we really can't do anything about it. They give her a set of pajama and slippers, and then she's told to go back to that soiled seat. So you can really imagine how messed up this entire story is. And post that, the complaint also further goes on to say how the crew members were actually seen having a discussion among themselves, and the only option that they could come up with is, why don't we let the male passenger and the elderly woman have a conversation? If the male passenger apologizes, probably they can get rid of the case. So the first response of the airline and the crew actually was to try and downplay this entire incident. And even on arrival, this man walks scot-free. There is no extra help that is given to this elderly woman. Till date, not even a full refund of the ticket has given. Forget any other stringent action that should have been taken already.
And these are the questions that Air India will have to come out and answer. The DGCA has taken note. The Civil Aviation Ministry has also taken note. Both have sought a report. But is there more that they can do, Ridhima? Can they direct Air India to at least take action against the staff involved before that inquiry is complete? Or are we going to wait for formalities to be over? Because that perhaps just adds insult to injury, many would say.
No, but the protocol is such, and this is what exactly what we're hearing from the Ministry of Civil Aviation also, that yes, they've taken note of the incident. You have DGCA also who've taken cognizance of the incident, but they've ordered Air India to conduct an internal probe. Until the findings of the internal probe are not submitted to the Civil Aviation Ministry, I doubt that we will see any other action come in. But this internal findings of Air India themselves is going to be very, very crucial, because based on that, this is what the Ministry of Civil Aviation is also saying, that the strictest punishment should be given, and they categorically are saying that the crew members also need to be penalized if these allegations are found to be true. But that's as far as the crew and the airline is concerned. What happens to this man who is still free? As I said, there is only a 30-day ban that has been imposed only by Air India. God knows if he's gone to other parts of the country. Till now, there is no arrest that has happened. So all these delays and lapses on part of the airline today have resulted in this pervert and creep still being a free man.
Absolutely. So the protocol is being followed. The Civil Aviation Ministry has stepped in. The DGCA has also stepped in, which is the regulatory body as far as airlines are concerned. Air India should have done more, needs to do more. That really is the unequivocal message that has been coming to the fore. We're also taking your calls live here on this broadcast. The numbers are flashing at the bottom of your screens. Do call us and share your views, because it is time we speak up. It is also time, Ridhima, that we perhaps strengthen our laws, because unlike penalties that are imposed on unruly passengers across the world, India has very little in terms of laws that can govern these kind of cases.
Absolutely, Puram. That again is another debate that continues to rage every time an incident like this is reported. And remember, this is not the only kind of unruly behavior that you've seen. You would remember just in the last 1 month, we've seen at least 2 other incidents of a similar kind that have been reported. One, of course, was in that Thai Smile Airways, which happened where you had passengers actually bashing each other, all because one passenger refused to not move his seat. And then, of course, that very unfortunate case that happened with Indigo, where you had passengers calling the crew members their servants. So this unruly behavior also now seems to be becoming a pattern, which is also raising questions that should you have stricter punishment and guidelines in place. As you rightly pointed out, if you compare this to our Western counterparts, you actually have a jail term that is imposed if any passenger is found to be indulging in such unruly behavior. Compare this to what happens in India. You either have a 30-day ban like what we've seen in this case, or the max is that you put on a no-fly list. But beyond that, you don't see anything else happening. And that is why possibly there is now a clamor that is growing that you need to have a relook as far as our punishments themselves are concerned. Because what is going to be that deterrent for these unruly passengers to not indulge themselves in horror stories like these?